Your Classical Storytime is supported by the Minnesota College Savings Plan, the official 529 program for the state of Minnesota. Learn how you can invest for your child's college education and minimize your taxes at mnsaves.org.
Welcome to Your Classical Storytime. I'm Jillene, and this is the story of Scheherazade. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was an arrogant king. He ruled over everyone and everything. His word was law, and his actions were not to be questioned. He demanded praise and admiration for everything he did. The king was used to being the center of attention. He had everything, except someone with whom to share his wonderful self. He issued a decree for his people to help him find a wife. Every household in the kingdom sent a daughter or sister for him to consider. After much deliberation, he finally married his favorite one. The new queen was smart, funny, and kind. Everyone loved her. She was perfect. But to the king, she was too perfect. His once loyal subjects spent so much time adoring her, they had no time for him. He wasn't the center of attention. Filled with rage and jealousy, the king called for his guards. "Get this woman out of my sight. Send her to a distant place, never to see her family and friends for as long as she lives." Well, that was harsh. But the guards sadly did as they were told, and the queen was banished from her homeland. With the help of his trusted advisor, the king quickly found another woman to marry. She was even kinder, smarter, and funnier than the first. And the attention she got made the king even more outraged and more jealous than before. She was banished too. This happened again and again. The king's advisor would find a woman more wonderful than the previous one, and the king would marry her. But after only a day with each, the king would exile them, much to the dismay of their friends and family. Eventually, the advisor ran out of options. There was no one left to bring to His Majesty. No one except the advisor's only daughter. Against her father's wishes, she volunteered to marry the king. Her name was Scheherazade. Scheherazade was not only smarter, funnier, and kinder than any woman who had come before, she was also craftier. The people adored her like no other. The king instantly realized that he would have to banish her too. But Scheherazade was one step ahead of the king. On the night of their wedding, before the king could call for his guards, she started telling her new husband a story about a marvelous sailor named Sinbad. After setting sail in his magnificent ship, Scheherazade told her fascinated husband, hours into the story, Sinbad came ashore on an unusual island. The other sailors built a big fire to keep them all warm. But as the flames grew, the ground moved. It wasn't an island at all. Sinbad and his men had actually set foot on a gigantic sleeping whale. The huge beast opened his eyes and... That's all I have time for tonight, Scheherazade said with a yawn. It's growing late, and I'm much too tired. We'll finish the story tomorrow night. The king was so interested in the story, he decided to wait a day and banish Scheherazade after she finished the tale. The next night, Scheherazade did indeed finish the story of Sinbad, much to the delight of the king. But before he could even catch his breath or call his guards, she immediately launched into the adventures of a dashing young prince who rescues a beautiful maiden being held prisoner by a terrible demon. And just as the prince and the maiden were getting ready to escape, the demon burst into the room. He took one look at the couple, raised his mighty staff, and right then and there, he turned the prince into a... Scheherazade yawned. I am so tired. That is all I have time for tonight. It's growing late. We'll finish the story tomorrow night. And that's what happened every night. Scheherazade told the king a spectacular tale, but only part of it. The king spared her because he wanted to find out what happened. But as soon as she finished the story the next night, she immediately started a new one. This went on for 1,001 nights. Finally, after all that time together, the king realized that through the magic of her storytelling, he had fallen in love with the adventures about people and places he had never known before. But it wasn't just the stories that had kept him engaged. It was Scheherazade, too. He had well and truly fallen in love with her. He also discovered that he didn't always need to be the center of attention. Good things can happen when you share the spotlight, or even shine a light on someone else. For her part, Scheherazade had come to love the king too. The royal couple celebrated their happiness with a huge festival, inviting every household in the kingdom. Including all those former queens. They returned to the kingdom where they were given riches by the repentant king and joyfully welcomed back by their families and friends. And they all lived happily ever after. The end. Thanks to reference recordings for the music used in this episode. And thank you for listening to Your Classical Storytime from APM, American Public Media.